So today is the first day of the new recording. So I'm going to write, record and publish a track from start to finish. It's the first time I've ever done this, so bear with me. I'm going to be using Logic throughout the process. I'm going to try and show you everything. I'm going to show you setting up the project, video footage of me recording every part. I'm going to be recording a drummer, and then I'm going to talk you through the mixing process, how to use EQ, compression, all that cool stuff. And then at the end, we're going to publish it online. So I'm going to show you how to set up different distribution and things like that. But today, it's just the very basics. We're going to start with opening a Logic session and loading up some MIDI instruments and having some fun. So let's go over to Logic and let's create a new session. Alright, so me personally, I use two programs, Omnisphere and Stylus Rmx. They're two virtual instruments. One I use for all my percussions and drums. The other I use for all my synths, pads, sound effects and things like that. Now both of those are multi-timbral synths, which allow me to have 8 parts within one instance of that plugin. So while I create my tracks, I'm going to click this box here, the multi-timbral box, and click create. Now on the left hand side, that has created an 8-part MIDI file here, or MIDI channel. And now I need to load in Omnisphere into these 8 channels. So to do that, I click on the top channel here. I go over to my inspector window and I go down to where it says instrument. Now if your inspector window is not there, you can either click on this button at the top or you can press I on your keyboard to find it. Now I'm going to click the drop down menu. These are all Logic synthesizers and there's some pretty cool ones in there, but the one I've grown fond of is the Spectrasonics one here, which is called Omnisphere. And then because we've set it up properly, we're going to click multi-output and that'll load into all 8 of those MIDI channels on the left. And this is Omnisphere. We have sound. Cool. Now in Omnisphere, you have your default browser here. So if you click on the file, it will go into this section. Now in here, we've got all our different sounds. We've got synth bass, pads and strings, keyboards, arpeggiators and rhythms. And if you click on any of them, and I press my keyboard, you'll hear what it sounds like. This thing is a beast. It's got about 60 gigabytes worth of sampled instruments inside of it. But we'll have a little look in a second at some cool sounds. But before we do that, I want to name the track. I'm just going to call this Omnisphere. So by double clicking on the track header and typing it in, I'm going to copy the word Omnisphere, so Command and C. Then if I press Tab, it will go down each one of the tracks and I am going to paste the name in by pressing Command V. I'm also going to do the same on the channel name down the bottom here. Great, so we've got Omnisphere set up. The next thing I want to set up is Stylus Rmx, which I use for all my kick drums, snares, claps. So got some great percussion loops in there. And I'm going to repeat the process, except this time I'm going to click the little plus arrow here to create my track. Or even quicker than that, if you can remember the shortcut, is to press Command, Option and N. And again on a software instrument and click multi-timbral 8 parts and create. I'm going to repeat the steps I did with Omnisphere to name it, but this time I'm going to call it Rmx. Copy Rmx, press Tab and paste into each one of those. We can name these a bit later on to individual items we end up using. So say we put a kick on the first one and a snare, we can easily just name them to whatever we want. But I'm also going to name it Rmx on the master volume. Now, each one of these instruments has got the master volume down here. You can also have a look at that in the mixer window by pressing X. You can see I've got 2 instruments here. Omnisphere and Stylus. Now I haven't loaded Stylus yet, so I'm going to do that quickly. So I'm going to click on the top channel again, come to Instrument, AU Instruments, Spectrasonics, this time Stylus Rmx and Multi-Output. And this is the Stylus window. Now in Stylus, this is where I load up sort of kick drums. Mainly, it's got a whole bunch of presets in here. Some really cool stuff. I'll play one of them just so you can get an idea. You know, all kinds of crazy stuff. Which is really useful. But we're going to have live drums in this track. We're going to be going down to Weston to record a drummer called Miguel Andrews, who's an awesome drummer. But at this stage, I just want to add in a few bits of percussion, maybe some kick drums, maybe some snares and stuff like that. But at this stage, I have no idea what we're going to record. I'm just going to quickly show you around both these synthesizers. And then I'm going to have a little break, come up with some ideas, record them in, and come back and show you what I've come up with. So let's look at Omnisphere first of all. Now, Omnisphere has 8 channels, just like Stylus Rmx. Now you need to make sure that you've got the right channel selected along the top and you've got the right track armed on the left, because if I arm number 3 and I'm looking at channel 1 here and I press my keyboard, nothing will happen, or it will, because you can see it's triggering number 3 because I've got track 3 armed. So we want to click on number 1, make sure it's armed, make sure we're on track number 1, and then here we go. Now I want to start with some of my favourite sounds in Omnisphere, and that's the arpeggiated section, so this section here. And I'm just going to click on a couple, play a simple chord and see what some of them sound like. This is one of them. Now if you hit shuffle, it will do exactly what it says, and you can click the down arrow and go through some different sounds. Cool, so there's a whole bunch of different arpeggiated sounds. You can go through these and there's millions of them. You can spend hours doing this. All kinds of weird stuff. You've got more sort of classic keyboards. Maybe an organ. Now it's worth noting that I am a crap keyboard player, so forgive me. Pads and strings. You know, you get the idea. All kinds of stuff. Synth bass. And something else that I really like is the effects and noise bank here. I like to use transitions. Let me see if I can find transitions. Which are great when you like go from a verse to a chorus and you want to have a cool sweep. Let's see what it sounds like. You get the idea. Right, let's have a look at Stylus Rmx. Stylus has lots of different things going on. But the main thing I like to use is if I come over to this directory area, click on the second drop down box and go to Groove Elements. This is cool because it's got broken down different drum parts, so you could have 4 to the floor kicks and have a listen to some of those. Cool. It's got hi-hats, rides, some claps. And the cool thing, all of these samples will change to whatever BPM we use. So if we had 150 BPM, the same claps would adjust. But I'm going to keep it at 120 for now. Right, and then once you find something you like, so say I wanted a kick drum. Let's say I like that one. All I've got to do is first stop it. See this drag and drop area here? Click on it and drag it into our session. And as simple as that, I've got my kicks. And then if I want to go on to add, say, some snares to that, make sure I click channel 2, come over to channel 2 here, and then I'm going to repeat the steps. This time I'm going to go groove elements, and I don't know, let's add a clap in there instead. So let's loop this. You can do that by just clicking the top section or dragging along and using the cursor to get it to the right length. Let's press play, and then we're going to sample in real time some of these claps. Cool, quite like that. So I'm going to drag that into channel 2. And you get the idea. Pretty quickly you can start layering up ideas and coming up with some pretty cool stuff. I'm going to cut this video off here. I'm going to have a play around for a good couple of hours, try and come up with some parts using the keys. I'm going to record them into this session, come back, and I'm going to talk you through each sound, why I chose it, and let you have a listen to what it sounds like. Cheers, see you in a bit.